Now, I had to say on Monday about a law firm, one of the biggest law firms in the country, MinterEllison, and the manager, effectively the chief executive of that law firm, Annette Kimmett, who's not a lawyer herself but runs the whole operation. She sent out an email apologising to people in the firm who might be hurt by the fact that they were providing representation to Christian Porter. This sparked outrage, as you could imagine, and the Australian Financial Review are now reporting that Annette Kimmett will lose her job. There's the headline on the AFR. Annette Kimmett to leave MinterEllison. So there's been a backlash, some common sense prevailing from many of the partners at MinterEllison, and it looks like Annette Kimmett will leave her job. Let's find out what the Wednesday wrangle makes of all this. We're joined again by Liz Storer and Justin Smith. Thanks for joining us. Liz, this was an amazing intervention by the head of a law firm. Not surprising, it looks like she might have to move on.
Unbelievably inappropriate, Chris, and I think she should, after this, to treat allegations as if they were fact, to treat the very man that they're representing as if he were guilty. This was utterly absurd, and I do hope that the firm takes appropriate measures to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, Justin, I think there's been a lot of problems with the way this whole Christian Porter episode has been handled. But certainly if you're in a leading law firm, you might understand that providing legal advice to an innocent person is not a problem in a law firm.
Well, I mean, guilty or innocent, I mean, even putting this case to one side, if you are a lawyer or a barrister and you're going to represent somebody, well, you just represent them. I mean, isn't that sort of the bedrock of what the whole thing is about? I mean, I've got barrister mates and lawyer mates who have represented some appalling people that have done some dreadful crimes and have gone on to be as guilty as hell. But, I mean, the point is that they're doing their job. So, I mean, I wouldn't comment about the way MinterEllison run their business, but I would just say that surely that's what you do as a lawyer. And the second you become a lawyer, you know that sometimes, hey, you know, you're going to be taking on clients that you don't really agree with. But in this case, you're going to try and do your job and do it well. You know?
It really highlights how rational debate and the rule of law have been thrown to one side when it comes to the emotionalism and the political partisanship of the whole Christian Porter affair. Let's hope people can sensibly deal with it in the future. I want to go to another issue which has taken us all by surprise, and that is Greg Hunt and Daniel Andrews ending up in hospital. Greg Hunt, I understand, is going to be okay. This is nothing related to the pandemic or to his vaccination. But Daniel Andrews, Justin, he's in a serious way with some damage to his back, and let's hope that everything can be righted there. Missing some days or weeks as Premier is the least of his worries.
Well, yeah, I guess the word is that he won't be missing days. Yeah, he will be missing at least weeks. So, I mean, we obviously don't have all the detail, but it is really not great for him. And I send good thoughts to him, and I also send good thoughts to his family, because this is going to be a pretty tough time for them to sort of get his way back into recovery. I know that a lot of people have political differences with Daniel Andrews, and I've certainly slung off at him many times and supported him at others. But this is different. This is a guy who's in a bit of strife at the moment, and I hope he recovers and gets back. Literally gets back on his feet pretty soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I've been a strong critic of his, of the way he's run some aspects of his government. But this is a horrible accident, and let's just hope for him and his family's sake he gets through it as quickly as possible. Liz, I want to get your thoughts on the Anzac Day march. There's been a lot of kerfuffle about that, but my thought would have been, given where we are with the pandemic in this country and the rollout of the vaccine, that anybody who wants to have an Anzac Day march anywhere in the country ought to be able to do it. No one's being forced to do this.
100%, and yet we kind of had to have our PM step in and say there will be Anzac marches in every single capital city in this nation. One doesn't like to think what might have happened had the PM kind of not made this kind of captain's call almost. So now we're seeing these roll out in each of the capital cities. Honestly, I don't think it should have ever been cancelled last year. Mardi Gras wasn't, and I'm not picking on that particular event. It's just a very large event that's in very close proximity to Anzac Day, and yet we saw Anzac Day cancelled last year when that really large event wasn't. This year there shouldn't have even been whispers, Chris, of a cancellation here. But what it really does for me, and I think many other Aussies who are paying attention here, is if Morrison, which, by the way, thank you, Prime Minister Morrison, this is a sacred day for Australia, and this was absolutely a great call to make. But if Morrison can make such a call and have the states fall in line over something as important as Australia, sorry, not Australia Day, although that is also very important, as Anzac Day, where was he when we needed him on certain things like border closures?
We'll see.
As wonderful as it is for him to say this is a sacred day, there's many more very sacred things to Australians that have been absolutely rolled over by different premiers over the course of the last 12 months.
I need to give Justin a go quickly on Anzac Day.
No, I just want to say, look, with the greatest of respect here, Liz, I think Scott Morrison had bugger all to do with it, particularly here in Victoria. The reason why we're now going to have a decent march is because we had returned veterans who just said, oh, look, this is ridiculous. You are really hurting us with this. It's a big day for us. It's an important day. Please don't, please don't knock it on the head. And I don't think the Prime Minister had anything to do with it here in Melbourne. It was all the diggers. He
spoke up yesterday, and it certainly moved things along in New South Wales. But you're right, the diggers have been pushing for this. Thanks for joining us again. Really appreciate it, Liz Storer and Justin Smith.